Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. We lost sight of. What all tests, then immediately we remember what all tests he has been giving, how many times we have failed, how many times we have succeeded. Nobody is exempt from this test and trial. So to treat everything as a test and trial, no. we need somebody called some education, something about it. So here, by making us to witness the test given to Papa, he is teaching us that every moment I will put you on test. If your intense desire is to remember me. If I don't give you test, you will not remember me at all. So it is not for the sake of play or to harass us, he is giving us the test. It is only to make us remember him. That also he reveals now. So with this background, we will now move to the next chapter. First we will read out the portion, then let us see. The guide was at once accepted. Somebody offered, where are you going? Ramdas had then with him about ₹9, which amount he handed over to the Sadhu Ram, and felt much relieved by doing so. To carry money is to carry anxiety with you, for it draws your attention to it now and again. Why only money? Even a check, even a key, no? Once in a way we check up. Any possession, pen.
Now we will be checking now and then when we travel.
Very important. For sense of insecurity, otherwise we feel. On making over the money, he suggested to the Sadhu Ram to get the rupees changed into 1 anna coins and have them all distributed to the poor who were begging at the doors of temples. And this desire was carried out. Now Ramdas threw himself more completely than ever on the support of Ram, with only 2 clothes and a few books, all his possessions in the world. He started with the Sadhu Ram, with whom Ram had sent as a guide. He led him to the railway station. Both got into a train running to Rameshwaram. No ticket, Ram was ticket, and all in all. Whilst in the train, Ramdas continued his meditation of Ram. Every time, this meditation of Ram continues, which also we should not forget. Everywhere now, continue. Meditation continue. That means dwelling upon God, God, God. While in the train, Ramdas continued his meditation. Previously also he was doing it. The train travelled on until it reached a station about 6 miles from Rameshwaram. That particular route was meter gauge. So there was no other transport. So in good old days, even when we started remembering, all these passenger trains will stop in all stations. Because that was the only way to move from place to place. Here a ticket inspector came into the compartment. Even from Calicut to West Hill, we used to come by train. Calicut to West Hill. Here a ticket inspector came into the compartment in which Ramdas and his kind guide was seated. After checking the tickets of other passengers, he approached the sadhus and cried, "Tickets, tickets." "No tickets, brother, we are sadhus," was the reply. "Without tickets you cannot travel any farther. You have to get down here," said the inspector. At once, getting up, Ramdas told the Sadhu Ram that it was Ram's wish that they should alight at that place. Walking out to the station, they came to the high road. Here the Sadhu Ram grumbled over the action of the inspector. To this Ramdas said, "Brother, We cannot travel all along to Rameshwaram by train. Pilgrimages should be made on foot. But somehow Ram was kind enough to take us on the train so far. We have only to walk a distance of 6 miles in order to reach Rameshwaram. It is the will of Ram that this distance should be covered by foot. Be cheerful, brother. They started to walk. When they travelled about 2 miles, Ram brought them in touch with a Varpa. Till then, since he started from Mangalore, Ramdas had not had a shave. So here he first got his beard, moustache, head all shaved after the manner of sannyasis. As they were nearing Rameshwaram, they came to a tank by the roadside named Lakshman Kund. After bathing in this tank, they passed by a number of small tanks bearing different names. At last, Ram directed their steps to the famous temple of Rameshwaram. The temple is a gigantic structure. One actually loses oneself in the bewildering passages, corridors, aisles, and that lead to the place of worship. When the sadhus approached the Holy of Holies, they found the door open. The worship of Rameshwara was going on in all its ceremonial eclat. O Ram, all glory to thee. The occasion and the place sent thrills of joy into Ramdas's soul. Here Ramdas came in touch with some Mahatmas who had come there on pilgrimage, of whom one Swami Govindananda was very kind to him. The Swami said he belonged to the Mutt of Sri Siddharut Mutt of Hubli and offered an invitation to Ramdas to attend the Shivaratri festival in the Hubli Mutt, which was then shortly to take place. As we said, we are now traveling. What are the lessons Baba is now teaching? We will be able to travel with him only when we develop this communion. Yesterday, he made us to think about it. At least for some time in a day, we start communing with him. Otherwise, we cannot straight away bring him now. Communion only will enable us to feel intuition. Yesterday, this was elaborately dwelt. Communion ensures nearness. So with that bhavana we will try to. First thing is dispossessing everything and relying on the barest minimum. God is teaching us, when you possess something, and if you have got the sense of possession, then that occupies your mind space. So here he says, he had 9 rupees. 9 rupees on those days was a big amount. Without a second thought, he handed it over, he dispossessed himself. And it is not throwing it away. Suddenly, he was prompted. I am sitting there in the form of so many people on the temples for alms. Distribute. So the first brother consecrated, this life will be henceforth consecrated to meditation and service of Sri Ram. Both. So not simply dispossessing it. God has arranged for the field. God has given him the prompting. God has given him the wherewithal. This is the message for us. Hearing this, none of us, we are not going to dispossess. But we can try to bring it down to the barest minimum. Or possess things, but at the same time, let us keep it for anybody. Try, we may fail. Over years we have developed me and mind, so it is difficult, agreed, but we will try. This is the message he gives. The purpose of making us to sit and now hear these words is that we make a resolve, we will try. Because he says to carry money is to carry anxiety with you. For it draws your attention to it now and again, that we all know it. We all know it by our own experience. Every now and then we check up whether we have forgotten, we have kept it in the proper place. But at the same time, he also makes us to witness or to hear many instances where when something is forgotten by somebody, whether it carries a lakh of rupees or 50,000 or 60,000, or when somebody goes to the ATM, suddenly the money comes, he doesn't take it, he goes to hands it over to the police or gets in touch with the person and then hands it over. That also we have seen. We now remember all these things. So it is not that only people who have taken to this labeled spiritual life, they can do it. No. The other day we heard about Sudhakaran, that 1 crore. There have been many instances where somebody has forgotten the bag there, laptop there, the bag containing 50,000-60,000 rupees, the auto man gives it back. In Kasaragod near our ashram, in an ATM, and somebody went there, suddenly, before he put it, the money was coming. Immediately he did not take it, he went to the police station and told them. They immediately checked up who was that person complained, I pressed, it did not come, so I left. Immediately that money was given, that he had urgent need for the money, and he embraced that person. He was also an ordinary worker, and offered him something. He said no. There are many instances. Once when Shreya came here with children, she was telling one child was also going in the street. Unknowingly somebody dropped the purse. Immediately she took that girl, ran up to him and gave him. And he was in tears because he was rushing to the hospital to discharge some patient. So we hear, these incidents also should come to us. Let us not say only because Papa was blessed or it was Papa who could do that. No. This is the message he gives. So to carry money is to carry anxiety. The best way is to distribute whatever we have to the deserving. Another message for all of us. Through ashram they are showing this, for the past 89 years. Minimum 2/3 of the love offerings received goes back to the society only. Only 1/3 is covered for our overheads. Electricity, maintenance, salary for the workers, etc. Only 1/3. 2/3 go back to the society, to the deserving. This is how Papa Mataji have designed this ashram's mission. Whatever is received, it is not absorbed here. So the best way is to distribute whatever we have to the deserving. And then, no doubt, even relying on a limited possession, given by God, keeps us away from Him. Because we forget that it is God who has given, so does He not know? When we are sharing these thoughts, we remember a few words of Vinobaji. He says, Samsara is something terrible. It is often compared to an ocean. In the midst of an ocean, you see water wherever you look. Same is the case in Samsara. It has surrounded us from all the sides. Even if a man leaves his home and devotes himself to public service, Samsara does not leave his mind. Even if one retires to a cave to lead a hermit's life, his few possessions become the center of his attachments, and the samsara engulfs him there too. Just as a currency note can hold 1000 rupees, a loin cloth too can hold unlimited attachment. We had personal experience. When we started the Vridashram in Wayanad, the first person who came there was an old man. We were not equipped, but still somehow we started. So we requested somebody to come and cook and give food to this person. So finally the cook also decided to stay. 15 days we used to be in ashram and 15 days we used to get back. So next time when we went back, we straight away go to this and find out how things are. This man was furious, the old man. And the cook said, I am going. Because he shouts like anything, abuses like anything. What is the matter? He said, I had 2 loin cloths. One is missing. This man has taken. And he made such a big fuss over it. So we had no other alternative. We told him, either you may please leave, or we will give you half a dozen loin cloths. Hereafter don't complain. So then we were wondering, even a loin cloth. That's why he says, too, it can hold unlimited attachment. There is therefore no attenuation or decrease of samsara simply through reduction in the involvement in worldly business or reduction in one's possession. This is a very important matter. Not because we reduce and bring to the barest minimum, we will be free from this feeling of attachment. No, it will be concentrated attachment. Papa said, the crystallized selfishness. And here Vinobaji says, you may say 10 by 25 or 2 by 5, it means the same. One may be in the midst of family or alone in a forest, attachment does not leave one's mind. A yogi retired to the Himalayan caves for doing penance may burn with envy if he happens to hear another yogi praised. Same thing happens to the realm of social service. Samsara has thus engulfed us and is ever tormenting us. It does not leave even if we desire to remain within the bounds of Swadharma. Even if we curtail our activities, engagements, affairs, attachment to I and mine remains the same. So this is the severest test. Papa passed the test. So even relying on a limited possession, because later on we will find somebody else, he will give the book also. Later on somebody asks something, whatever he had, everything is yours, he will say. So the grounding has been done, concretized. In the second day, or on the first day. Then, so far Papa has been buying tickets and traveling by habitude. Here for the first time he travelled without a ticket. Another test given by God. I will make you to travel by ticket, I will so that you will face new type of experience. Otherwise, how will the new type of experience will come? So whenever we are made to pass through any test, we should know it is for our own graduation. Otherwise, how will we know? There should be a cause for everything, you know. If everything is smooth, how will we graduate? Friction is necessary for progress. Somebody said, without pain, no gain. No? These are all for us. We are not just reading Papa's narrative. We always want a smooth life, trouble-free life. But we hardly recognize that all those things are given tests and trials to us. Now our prayer is, when you put us on the test, make us to know that you are putting us on a test. Otherwise, we will also again plead for remedial measures only. We may grumble, we may complain just like the sadhu. So traveling without ticket is the next test Ram put on Ramdas. He has never done that. Later on, many of you might remember one devotee who came to an ashram. He told Papa, can you give us a rough estimate of how much you would have travelled without ticket, so that I will reimburse this amount. So Papa said, first thing Ramdas cannot tell. Then Papa said, if you think that Ramdas owed that money, then where does Ram come? Then only the other man stopped. He sincerely asked. Because Papa was well aware, all those experiences we will get only when he was made to travel like that. We have seen here itself. How was he able to maintain that? Because even during the train journey, he was able to meditate on Ram. So that means there was no disconnect. If there is any disconnection, again you will get panicky, You are not used to it now. You may be in distress, you may be in shortage of funds, but you will never do any such thing. You will borrow from somebody and then buy the ticket and then go. Because you don't want to exploit anything, you don't want to break any law. But here, Papa, fully aware of all these things, he divested himself of all money and then travels by ticket. Just imagine. So that means God has promised him, that God wants to put him on a test under his direct supervision. So Papa doesn't have to bother at all. And why did he carry books? Too close, we can say barest minimum. And books. Satsang through books. Whenever there is a interval between the meditation and other activities, that Papa was filling it up with satsang. For that he needed a couple of books. Not too many books. Not too many reading. Not addicted to. He was an voracious reader. That is why he had kept a good hand in English. Otherwise you will see how many poems he has drafted. And even today, many a times we used to, so he writes simple English, certain usages we used to refer to dictionary. Very rare, very rare. Such proficiency he had in English, because he had read a lot, but still it was limited to Bhagavad Gita and New Testament revelation. So few books. It is not a possession if you have. It's an aid for satsang. Something for us, So we can limit our possessions to the barest minimum, and that minimum should also help us to connect with God. Then, the most interesting aspect. Acceptance. As soon as the ticket collector comes and says, without tickets you cannot travel, at once getting up. No pleading, no requesting, no justification. The first act of acceptance, in the journey, God makes him to do that. Free from grumblings and complaints. Serenity, calmness, unruffled by any adverse situation, submission to his will. How many lessons, through this? When God put him on his test, all these things, was the gain he had. And it came instantaneously, spontaneously. That means God was guiding him. Acceptance, free from grumblings and complaints, serenity, calmness, unruffled by any adverse situation, submission to his will. These were the points Ram taught Ramdas, and through that to us. And become positive in every situation. Not merely acceptance. See the positive side behind it by using the word only 6 miles. Only 6 miles. So Ram is teaching Papa that you can convert any adverse situation to a positive situation. Only this much. And it was not merely an inference. God made him to think on these lines, that we cannot travel all along to Rameshwaram by train. Pilgrimages should be done on foot. But somehow Ram was kind enough to take us on the train so far. We have only to walk a distance of 6 miles in order to reach Rameshwaram. It is the will of Ram that this distance should be covered by foot. Be cheerful, brother. Transforming, There is a positive side. And that positive side we become aware when we remember God. Because He is behind it. There is a purpose behind it. So there should be a positive side. We have to keep on reminding ourselves we are not just listening to Papa's narrative, we are traveling with Papa, we are traveling with Ram. Ram is, just like, parents take us to the exhibitions or to a new place to see. We are being taken to watch this Papa's itinerant life, so that in whatever form we can assimilate, we retain, and we try in our own way to implement it when God provides us such tests or situations. He is taking by a hand. All of us He is now taking by a hand. And making us aware of the itinerant life of Papa. So that though not all of it, some of it might stay with us, and that will help us to remember Him. Normally when prior to sanyas, the traditional aspect, one gets completely shaven. Before that there will be a tuft that will also be removed. Then all other protocol or formalities are observed. So here nothing like that. But still, all are retained, color of the cloth, vows. And now this one, he was taken. He was immediately, God made him to pass through a place where there was a barber shop. And there he had the shave, completely befitting to a sannyasi's appearance. Even that was arranged. He did not crave for it. So again the lesson is that when you have handed over lock, stock and barrel to Him, He arranges. Because second chapter begins with that. Every now and then we have to go back to second chapter word. Then only we will be able to connect up everything. Now from the narrow pond of a worldly life, Ram had lifted up his slave to throw him into the extensive ocean of a universal life. But to swim in the wide ocean, Ram knew. Ramdas wanted strength and courage, for gaining which Ram intended to make his ignorant and untrained slave to pass through a course of severe discipline, and this under his direct guidance and support. So guidance is there, moment to moment. Not that he has to search for it. Then they started to walk. Then they reached the famous Rameshwaram temple. Here, Papa talks about the temple worship. Elsewhere he has written about temple worship. It would be interesting for us to know how Papa looks at it. Temple worship. Ramdas feels that it is necessary to explain the meaning and purpose of temples in which an image is installed as a symbol of God. Man cannot conceive of God, who is infinite and eternal. God is beyond name and form. The instrument which we have to make use of in trying to comprehend Him is the mind. And the mind can think only in terms of name and form. So if we want to concentrate our mind on God, we have to give Him a name and a form. The image in the temple serves this purpose. When we stand before the image, we take it as the very embodiment of the divine. When we sing before it of His great attributes, His infinite glory, His power, His eternal existence, knowledge and joy. The image by itself is only a mere idol, made of metal, wood or stone. But the consecratory ceremonies at the time of installation of the idol invest it with divine powers. The sanctity of a temple largely depends upon the faith, purity and devotion of the priests who perform daily worship in it. The mantras that are recited during the puja are also charged with spiritual power. They create an atmosphere vibrant with peace and purity. So all these combine to make one conscious of the divine presence in the temple and instill faith in the devotee. When thousands thus fix their faith upon that image, it naturally adds to the divine light and power generated therein. And the moment anybody with faith in the divinity installed there enters the temple, he feels this very clearly. So temples have become places of worship for the masses in general, who are not yet fit to turn inward and find the God within their own hearts in His true and eternal nature. All should have free access to the temple, no matter to what caste they belong. But the holy atmosphere in the temple should not be defiled. The sanctity of the temple can be preserved only by the faith and devotion of both the priests and of the people who offer worship there. People must go to the temple only for worship. The principal qualification for worshiping in the temple is staunch faith and devotion for the deity. In the precincts of the temple, devotees are expected to be physically clean and to preserve the decorum and attitude of mind which is suited to the presence of God. As an instance of how one can realize the presence of God even in an object most despised in the eyes of a human being, Ramdas may here relate a story. The Emperor Akbar had a Hindu minister named Birbal. Akbar was well versed in the Hindu religious scriptures. Therein he had read that God was an all-pervading reality. In order to be convinced of this truth, one day he asked Birbal, "Is it true that according to the Hindu belief, God is pervading everywhere?" Birbal said, "Yes." "Can you prove it to me?" asked Akbar. "Certainly I can," was the reply. Then Akbar asked a servant to to get an old worn-out slipper of his queen from the harem and hand it over to Birbal and said, "Here you are, now prove to me that God resides in this slipper." Both agreed to do so on condition that the emperor granted him 6 months' leave and a few lakhs of rupees. The emperor gave him what he wanted. Soon after, Birbal purchased some land on the outskirts of the city, erected a huge Mahadeva temple on it, in which he installed an image of Lord Shiva, the Shivalinga, and consecrated it with the help of a learned priest. Thereafter started the regular puja according to the Shastric rules in the temple. It went on for a few months, and the fame of the temple spread far and wide. People thronged to see the temple at the time of the puja and made offering to the deity with great devotion. Those who were suffering from diseases or suffering from troubles made vows to the devotee for relief. And on account of their faith, their prayers were heard. In 2 or 3 months, the fame of the temple was well established. The period set for the fulfillment. Recently, prior to this lockdown, we were in Hyderabad in January. So at that time, there was some retreat in a farmhouse. So when we were returning, we had to pass through one temple of Balaji. Then they said, "This is a famous temple. This is called Visa Balaji temple." Many students who have applied for visa, they go there and do 108 times. And their prayers are heard.
They have to get visa.
Huh?
They have to get visa.
So they make a note every time, 108 they have to know. When we went there, it was full. 99% were either youth or students. And everyone was carrying a paper and a pen. They go, they chant the mantra, and when they reach the sanctum sanctorum, before that, tick. Again, Visa Balaji. In these days, when science and technology has gone to that extent, it was amazing. Amazing means amazing. And he is named as Visa Balaji. It's a truth. It is not a story. Ninety-nine percent people, they get it. If they don't get it also, nothing happens to their faith. Still, it's a big township now, very big township. Visa Balaji. The emperor was attacked with a severe colic. Now the period, those who were suffering from diseases, in 2 or 3 months the fame of the temple was well established. The period set for the fulfillment of the agreement between the emperor and Birbal was also nearing its end. Now a strange thing happened. The emperor was attacked with a severe colic, and even the worst eminent hakims and vaidyas in the empire could not cure it. the emperor's suffering was very great. Now a Hindu well-wisher of the emperor went up to him and told him of the great power possessed by the deity of the temple recently founded near the city, and of the cures effected by offering worship to him. He suggested if Akbar made a vow with faith to the devotee, he also should get relief. The emperor at once agreed, sent for Birbal, expressed his wish to attend the puja at the temple with the object of getting cured of his pain. Accordingly, Birbal arranged for a grand celebration at the temple, news of which reached all the people of the state. A large concourse assembled in the temple precincts. The emperor went in a procession, accompanied by thousands of his subjects, including Muslims. In the presence of the emperor, the puja was performed in the Vedic style, and after it was over, the pujari was asked to give the emperor the Abhisheka Tirtha, the holy water in which the deity was bathed, which the emperor received in all humility and drank. The miracle happened instantaneously. Akbar became free from the colic. Then he exclaimed, "There is no doubt God is present here. The image is certainly full of the power of God." Birbal then asked the chief priest to remove the cover of the image, which was hollow. As he did so, inside the cavity there was lying the old, worn-out slipper of the queen, which Birbal had received from the emperor about 6 months back. "Look here now, your majesty. What was the power that cured of your malady? Was it not the divine power residing in this slipper?" Akbar was now convinced, amply rewarded his minister with rich presents. Temple worship now. Though Papa had specifically mentioned that ashram will not have any idol worship here, how he has beautifully brought out the relevance, the need for a temple worship. What should be our attitude when we go? Until we reach a state, because he was also a Saguna worshipper. In Swami Ramdas talks, he explains that he was regularly, in his sadhana days, he was regularly going to his elder brother Sitaram's house, where they used to have bhajan. There was a murti of Lord Krishna, and then he used to concentrate upon that. And later on, he was blessed with the Saguna Darshan. At that time, Papa prayed, "I don't want this darshan which comes and goes. I want that stays with me always." What you have explained in the Vibhuti Yoga, Vishwarupa Samdarshan, the 11th chapter, that you gave me. So he knows that, Saguna worship initially, because he clearly says, without name and we have got only the vehicle called, mind. That is the medium through which everything happens for an individual. And the mind can concentrate only on a name and form. Simple. So to straightaway think about an abstract truth, it is the toughest job. Pujya Swamiji was once sharing when he was asked to go to a nearby temple. On that day he revealed another aspect. Temples are there to make us intensely think about the indwelling and all-pervading reality. Since indwelling and all-pervading reality is in abstract form, there is a symbolic, there should be some symbol, some symbolic presence to connect us to the indwelling and all-pervading. If it has to become a reality, the moment we start going to the temple, we should not discuss about anything else. Either chant his name or think about the glories, think about the attributes, think about the anubhavas, experience of the devotees who had faith in the deity. So that by the time we reach the temple, the mind is fully in a devotional fervor. With that bhavana, we look at it. Suddenly we realize the devotional fervor developed because we were intensely thinking about him, even in the absence of the idol. So the idol has been installed in our mind. And then with that bhavana, we do the circumambulation, we take the prasad, we take the tirth, and then we sit there for some time and then come back without discussing anything. No other thought. Ensure that no other thought intrudes, no other thought occupies our mind space, and then come back. So the same temple worship can enable us to have, because we have installed him there. If we have not installed, we will be talking about so many things. Where are you going? I am going to this temple, that's all. No. The mind is full of other thoughts. So we see only the deity in that particular temple. Suppose we had installed Guru Ayappan inside, we had installed Mookambika Devi inside, we had installed Shabarimala Ayyappan inside. No problem, no? He is with us throughout. With this background, we look at the Bhaktottama's life. Pure, simple, innocent faith, unshakable faith. Because they have installed that deity in their heart. So when Papa says we need a symbol, it doesn't mean that we look down upon temples, no, look down upon the devotees, no. Many years back when we went to Delhi, there is a Malay Mandir temple there, dedicated to Lord Shanmuga. So when we went there, as Papa says now, the very mantras, how they recite, it gives an altogether different experience, a pleasant experience which you cannot explain. You just sit and hear, and then go to inside. It prepares the mind conducive to receive the vibrations. Then we learn that why these slokas, why these mantras, these are all these things that will prepare our mind to feel his presence. It is not to be simply treated as rituals. All these things he has explained in a few words in the Rameshwaram. At last, Ram directed their steps to the famous temple of Rameshwaram. The temple is a gigantic structure. One actually loses oneself in the bewildering passages, corridors, aisles that lead to the place of worship. When the sadhus approached the Holy of Holies, they found the door open. The worship of Rameshwara was going on in all its ceremonial eclat. O Ram, all glory to thee, the occasion and the place and thrills of joy into Ramdasa's soul. Here Ramdas came in touch with, So elaborate, elsewhere we will find, in Tirupati he went. There the prompting was not there because the door was closed. Next day morning, though Papa had gone all the way to Tirupati, he was not prompted to go in because he was well established. So when we reach that stage, going and not going is not going to. In Jagannath Puri, another different experience. Starting with Rameshwaram. So that's why we say we will not take it that this is Papa's itinerary. This is for us to get benefited by it. While reading, he gives us all these explanations. On temple worship, elaborately he has discussed now. No? So not attached to any idol worship, but recognize the relevance of temple worship and the magnificence of art. He is not just going into the temple and just coming out. Everywhere he could see the brilliance, perfection coming out. Before we close, yesterday we said we will there were a couple of experiences today when he prompted us to help an insect trying to make its way underground, okay, being instrumental of the election. How can we relate giving away the rupee with a householder's life? What is the lesson? We will never be able to understand the lesson because we have to raise ourselves to that level. We cannot copy. Now when we say how can we give up, we are copying it. We cannot copy, unless we reach that graduation. Suppose without swimming, if I just jump into the river, I will get drowned. But when I learn the swimming, I can safely. So just because we read, we cannot do that. We have to raise ourselves. Otherwise we will not be able to. When you are teaching as in Vaikari troops, we are not understanding. How can we hear the messages in Parayan Pashanti form? Pray Papa to make us listen to his messages. Yeah. So let us not be too technical about it. When we go deeper and when we develop this communion with him, every day we will make it a practice to spend about 5 minutes at least. Just like we are talking to another person, we will talk. We will start the talking like that. When we develop it, so many things we are repeating every day, Every day we are doing the brushing, every day we are going to the toilet, every day we are going to take our bath, every day we are changing our dress, every day we are eating, every day we are drinking. So repetition is not something to be belittled. So like that we will try every day, 5 minutes. How to do that, where to do that, anybody can follow any rule. Papa has asked us to chant his name, that is the easiest according to him. It is not easiest, but it is relatively easiest. In the sense, when we chant, we must hear his name so that all other thoughts will gradually go and finally the mind becomes still. Or we can watch our mind. Let us not confuse. We will talk. We will give him a form. Doesn't matter. We will give him a name and form. And we keep talking. 100% sure, by this practice, we will be able to establish a relationship with him. It may take some time. The moment the relationship is established, we will start hearing his instruction in the form of flash, in the form of spontaneity. and we pray. We keep praying to him. Even now they are giving, we are all acting on, based on certain flash, certain intuitive, this thing, we are not aware, that's all. Suddenly we will, when we are in a crossroad, no? When we are in a corner, suddenly we find the light, no? At that time we attributed it to external causes. Now as an aspirant we will try to know it was he who did this. Like that, we will become aware. It is not that we will get. We will become aware. Previously we were not aware. He was guiding, he has been guiding, he will guide us. Previously we were not aware he was guiding. Now we will slowly start knowing that he is guiding us. So let us not bother about how and when. And what are today's? All our possession shows, many may be used. All our possession shows that much fear of insecurity of our life. The journey of travel of Papa shows that he had completely become the compartment of the train and allowed Ram to be the engine of the train. Set apart 5 minutes, sit alone, talk to God. Will it help? Surely it will help. Surely it will help. That is why nowadays we share these thoughts. After Ramnam also we stop. Even if it's for a trice, we close our eyes and chant Ramnam. And then at the closing, there will be a trice, split second. Suppose we start doing this. There is no question of intellectual understanding. It has to be practiced. Slowly we will feel the nearness. And once we start feeling the nearness, the sense of insecurity slowly fades away. Every now and then we may again fail. Fear will be there, anxiety will be there. All those things will slowly go, because somewhere in the corner of the mind, the reminder comes that he is there, he is there, he is there. So, in quest of God is not merely a narrative of an aspirant's life. It is traveling intensely, closely with the Almighty Lord of the universe, of an aspirant, and now he teaches us, you also train. Every chapter he says, Ramdas continued his meditation of Ram. Outer activity should be compatible with inner aspiration. The first vow of consecration, henceforth the life is consecrated to the meditation and service of Sri Ram. This we should keep on bringing into our mind. All of us can mentally take that initiative now. Nobody need know about it. So these are all it's a small chapter. You see, 1 hour. He makes us to go elaborately deeper into this. This itself shows that he is guiding us. Is there any need for any other proof? He doesn't allow us to just read and then go. He wants us to go meticulously. Dispossessing everything and relying on the barest minimum. To carry money is to carry anxiety with you, for it draws your attention. The best way is to distribute whatever we have to the deserving. Even relying on a limited possession given by him keeps us away from him. Another test of Ram on Ramdas. Traveling without ticket is the next test put on Ramdas. Train journey was utilized for meditation of Ram. Satsang through books helped to get grounded in God thought. Acceptance, free from grumbling and complaints, serenity, calmness, unruffled in any adverse situation, submission to his will were the points Ram taught Ramdas. Becoming positive in every situation, only 6 miles. Even the act of getting shaved in the manner of sannyasis is arranged by him, not attached to any idol worship, but recognize the relevance of temple worship and the magnificence meditation to keep up the chanting. Let us all try to keep as much as possible and pray for him to enable us to assimilate so that we really feel traveling with him. Hari Om. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om
Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om.
Jai Jai Ram Sri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Sri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Sri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Sri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram
11 people. It's coming.
Normally in the beginning how many will be there?
25 will be there. Towards the end, 35 will be there. Afterwards, after the session, more will come because it is more clear after the session.
Hari Om to everybody. Before we take up the topic, one devotee has raised a point on concept of God and intensity of gopis. Papa has clearly mentioned that any sadhaka, any devotee, before he takes up the spiritual journey, he should have the right concept of God. Though it's a conceptless reality. Because mind is the only vehicle with which we can travel. And mind has to fix its attention on an ideal concept. Otherwise, how can its movement be ensured? So we need a concept on a conceptless reality. Just like before we visit a place, we don't know about the climatic condition, the taste, temperament of the people, the nature of the country, nature of the people. So many things are there. How do we know? We try to get it from anybody who has visited or who has noted it down. Nowadays Google Baba is supplying. So we equip ourselves, but it need not be the one. The moment we reach there, it may be different of what we have conceived. Because the other party has drawn it from his experience, but our equipment it cannot. Unless we have that experience, we will not be able to. So similarly, people who have scaled the heights, they have given us their experience through some words. Even to understand that word, we have to raise ourselves. But still, those words do help us, guide us. That is why in one of the books, a great, highly spiritually evolved soul, who is normally named as Peace Pilgrim. She in her book gives out something about the concept of God. First she says, we lump together all things that are beyond the capacity of all of us collectively to understand. And one name we give to all those things together is God, the unknown factor. A factor, a reality which cannot be brought within the ambit of knowable. So we give that name God. And then our reflections will reveal. As we keep on seeing an object, a person, we will find first admit there is a creation there. So therefore God is the creative force, the sustaining power, and that which motivates towards constant change, the overall intelligence which governs the universe by physical and spiritual law, truth, love, goodness, kindness, beauty, the ever-present, all-pervading essence or spirit which binds everything in the universe together, gives life to everything in the universe. Some other words. What is it that makes one seed to come out in the form of a sapling or a plant or a tree? That's a creative force. Similarly, you and I, we are not just jumped from the sky. There is a seed. So creative force, the sustaining power. We are at the moment now aware. That is why Papa used to say in his prayer, O Creator, Protector and Destroyer of the world. That power which is behind the creation, which is behind the protection, which is behind the destruction. And that which motivates towards constant change. Everything is changing. Somebody interpreted the word Jagat, Jaga, Jaga, Jaga. No? It keeps on changing. And the overall intelligence. Yoga Vasishtha clearly tells Rama, when he was insisting, tell me what is that, what is that, what is that? And finally he names it as intelligence. Buddhir buddhivadamasmi. Tejas tejasvinamaham. I am the intelligence of the intellect. Beyond that, can we explain about intelligence? These are some words. And it governs the whole universe by physical and spiritual law. There are so many physical laws that guarantees the sustenance of this life. Whenever we violate, we get violated, meaning we get diseased. For everything there is a law. So who is the lawgiver? The apple gets dropped, or any fruit gets dropped from the tree down to the earth. Whereas a ray of, what do you call that? When you light a lamp, the ray of light, it goes up, It's not going down. Like that, scientists have unearthed umpteen number of laws. Gravitational law, so many. So it is behind this law, there is an overall intelligence. And truth means that which is always there. The one substratum. Love, absence of otherness. Goodness, kindness, beauty. Everything has got a beauty. Don't compare. If you compare, you will say it is ugly, it is not beautiful. But if you look at it as such, there is a beauty in it, for anything and everything. And the ever-present, all-pervading essence or spirit, most important, the power behind. Spirit is that power which binds everything in the universe together, which gives life to everything. There is a life force because of which we feel we are there now. What else can be explained about life force? Can we say we are not dead, that much we know. That is called life. So the concept of God means it cannot be explained, but they have given, those who have scaled the height, they have given us some clues. We will not be able to understand fully if we don't raise up to their level. But these are some guiding posts, With that we do the reflection. And through that reflection, we will be able to slowly see the light. Just like the other day when we were discussing, there was a dialogue between Yajnavalkya and Janaka. This month, last month. He keeps on asking about this. He was asking us about there was a dialogue between Yajnavalkya and Janaka. Janaka was asking about that light, That light represents God. So through the word light, because light can be easily understood. So he says, this may help us. It's a beautiful dialogue. King Janaka asked Yajnavalkya, "O revered sage, what is the light that illumines a person? The light that awakens and impels him to perform all that he does." At the moment we are talking or reading, you are all hearing, what is that light which impels us to perform? This hearing and reading, or seeing, simple, life force. Yajnavalkya gave a very straightforward answer. The sun, O king, S1, for it is the sun alone that is the source of all light, and it is for this light that man sits, moves about, does all his work and returns. Again Janaka asks, that's right, O venerable sage, but when the sun has set, what is it that helps man as light? The moon. It is the moon that is the light of the man when the sun is not here, was the reply of Yajnavalkya. Alright, I agree, but when the sun is not there, the moon is also not there, then what is it that guides man as his light? Yajnavalkya replied, when the sun has set, the moon is not there, fire is our light. For by that we sit, work, go out and come back. Night, simple, torch or electric light. I am all in agreement with you, said Janaka, but what then is the light when there is no sun, no moon, no fire? Speech. Indeed, it is the light when all these are absent. Speech is the light when all these are absent. Even though we cannot see our hand in the dark, we can hear the voice and move towards the sound. Janaka was happy, but had still one more question. O revered sage, when sun sets, moon is not there, fire is absent, there is no speech, then what is the light? The self indeed is our light, O king, capital S, spirit. For by that we sit, move, work, go out and come back. This self is called the spirit, this spirit is called the life force, This spirit is called the intelligence, this is called the pure consciousness, this is called the Lord of the universe. Janaka was deeply touched by this, but wanted to know from Yajnavalkya more about the self that he referred to as the light of all lights, to which he replied, the self is the pure awareness that shines as the light within the heart, surrounded by the senses. It is this self that is one with the sole reality, the Brahman. This self is free from desire, free from evil, free from fear. The man who, in union with the self, sees without seeing, smells without smelling, tastes without tasting, speaks without speaking, hears without hearing, touches without touching, thinks without thinking, knows without knowing. For there is nothing separate from him. This state of not having another is the state of unity, one without a second, and that is the world of Brahman. This is the supreme goal of life, the supreme treasure, the supreme joy. So here, light is something which we can understand, that word we can understand. But through that light, because through the knowable, we are now guided to the unknown, which cannot be brought within the ambit of any definition, because it is immeasurable, which can't be indefinable. Ultimately, we will realize that it is because of the very subject. How can the subject talk about the subject? The moment the subject talks about the subject, it becomes an object. So concept of God is something, with all these we have to try intuitively. And in our case, Papa has told us to hold on to the holy and all-powerful name. And then, while chanting, we should know we are chanting the name of one who is within us, who is making us to chant. This is how he slowly directs us to the source of all sources. We are chanting the name of one who is within us, who himself is making us to chant. And the next was intensity of gopis. Gopis, their identification has become, even here also, it cannot be explained. We can only hear there, unless and until we raise ourselves. So total subservience to that Almighty Lord of the universe. And in Gopi's case, we can say it is on the Saguna form. When we say Saguna form, it is not that limited to they see him only everywhere. So there, nobody can compare their faith, their devotion. They have nothing else in their mind excepting Krishna. When we have so many things, how can we understand a mind that is only with Krishna? No? Because our equipment is not ready now. We may be hearing these words, we may be hearing Bhagavata, we may be hearing somebody's exposition, discourse, everything is alright. But it has to pass through our own equipment, And our equipment is full of, it is not full of devotion. Our devotion is part-time devotion, to be more blunt. When we are in a conducive atmosphere, our mind says we are all in a devotional fervor. Hardly for a few seconds. But with such a mind, how can we understand Gopi's devotion? There nothing else was there. They have forgotten everything about their personal life. When explaining about that, Papa used to bring a couple of anecdotes that even when the camphor was on their hand or something like, when the mother-in-law came, she was there with the fire. It is burning. She was not aware of it. That much, the mind is full of Krishna consciousness, awareness of Krishna. Whereas we only hear this. We cannot fully understand this because unless and until we reach that stage. So these are the limitations we have. We should know. But through satsanga we are made to know about our limitation, and the ideal is being made clear as to how we should move forward. So whether it is the concept of God, whether it is the purest form of devotion by gopis, we will be able to understand it only we try to raise ourselves to that extent. Otherwise there are mere words. Words, we won't say it is half truth. It is full truth, but truth uttered by people who have realized the truth. We are trying to understand the truth through our limited, our equipment, which is limited, which is yet to evolve itself to that level. When Papa uses the word bliss, how can we explain? We can only repeat the word bliss. Love, light and bliss, he says. But each one, by hearing these words, we can reflect on it, go deep within, and through that inward journey, we have been promised that we will be able to know the real meaning. So nothing at the surface level. Now, in Quest of God also, there are two types of reading. One is at the surface level reading, which gives us some idea about Papa's itinerant life, some aspects of his sacrifice, some aspects of his surrender. We just hear. It doesn't make any deep impress on our mind. These are blunt truths, But now by His grace we are making an attempt to go deep down. The first chapter gave us everything, the introductory remarks gave us everything that is necessary for the course of studies. There is a what is meant by quest, there is a curriculum, there is a syllabus, there is a methodology, there is a guide, there is an examination, there is a degree, and there is a convocation. We found that. we started going deeper. When we moved to the first chapter, we found amazing, so many steps. The impersonal aspect of God, total surrender, something about intuition, and then later on, the tendency to hold on to that pleasant moment. That is what is called meditation. And then the more Papa was dwelling upon it, or when we dwell upon it, we will slowly remove that which is blocking, which are called self-denial, and then slowly start seeing the finger of God, even when we are open our eyes. So Ram was coming in so many, and always, even the period ever so small. Like that, we saw so many points. Satsang was there, absolutely non-conventional approach. Though technically we can say it was an initiation, it was not an initiation as we all think as initiation. And then satsang through books, then self-evaluation, then slowly finding that the me and mine is reducing, and God thought in covering the whole mind space. So this was because we started going deeper into it. So surface level reading, surface level absorption will be the first step. It has its own place, relevance. Then later on, to really make use of it, we have to go further. So that is the method we are now, Papa has given us. So till yesterday we were in where? Rameshwaram. And from there we moved to Madurai. We will first read the chapter. Something fell down. Yesterday Papa was also giving us some idea about the temple worship. Because he was making a mention about Rameshwaram. So this chapter also gives some more on this temple aspect. First we will read out. Ramdas remained in Rameshwaram for 2 days. The Sadhu Ram then proposing a move, led him to the railway station. Catching a train, proceeding for the south, they reached a place called Dhanishkodi. On alighting here, the Sadhu Ram, the guide so kindly provided by Ram, walked in the direction of the sea with Ramdas at his heels. Ramdas was always busy with the meditation of Ram. Again, you think, in every chapter you hear this word. Was feeling as though he was moving about in a dream. Ram, his soul quest. Ram, soul thought, soul aim. That was meditation. It was about 2 miles walk to the spot on the seashore where legend declares Sri Ramchandra built the celebrated Setu or bridge during his excursion to Lanka. Halfway on the sands it began to drizzle. The season was cold, clothing was scanty, but Ram's kindness and grace were very great. Going down to the extreme south of this projecting piece of sandy land, both bathed in the sea. Next, the Sadhu Ram and Ramdas went to a small temple close by, where they had the darshan of 2 sadhus permanently residing there. A brisk walk back to the Dhanishkodi brought them to the Dharamshala, where the Sadhu Ram provided Ramdas and himself with some food. Ramdas was at this time only on fruit diet or food without salt and chilies. After a day's stay here, they started by train for Madurai and reached the place in due time. The temple of Madurai was visited. The temple of Meenakshi is a beautiful pile wherein the sculptor has exhibited all his skill. The life-size symmetrical images cut in stone seems to be stepping out of the broad pillars that support the upper structure of the temple. The shrine is massive in build and can stand the wear and tear of ages. The sight of it is, in brief, a most imposing one. Here Ramdas met again Swami Govindananda, who was so kind to him at Rameshwaram. He with two other saints found Ramdas sitting on one side of the entrance of the temple. The tired Sadhuram, Ramdas's guide, was sleeping and Ramdas was squatting at his feet. In sleep, the Sadhuram's legs happened to touch Ramdas's body. Swami Govindananda remonstrated at this and was about to shake up the Sadhuram when Ramdas addressed the Swami, Maharaj, please don't disturb the Sadhu. He is sound asleep. Behold, cried the Swami, he is kicking at you. I cannot bear the sight. I consider it as nothing short of sacrilege. Swamiji, it is all right, replied Ramdas. His feet are holy. He is Ramdas's Guru. He is Ram, and so no harm anyway. The Swami said that he could not quite understand Ramdas, whom he held in high reverence. Next day the Sadhu Ram proposed a move from the place. Before doing so, he told Ramdas that his duty, insofar as guiding him to Rameshwaram was concerned, was over, and that he should be permitted to part from him in order to proceed to his Gurusthan at Rajamannargudi. All along the Sadhu Ram had been very kind to him, had looked after him very tenderly at all stages of the journey, taking every care of him. At a certain railway station, he left Ramdas. However, before doing so, he assured Ramdas that the train was carrying him to Chidambaram, a noted shrine. So many points, hidden between the lines. Here he is making a mention about his trip to Tanishkodi. It was about 2 miles walk to the spot on the seashore where legend declares Sri Ramchandra built the celebrated Setu or bridge during his excursion to Sri Lanka. One small mention about Lord Sri Rama. Immediately our mind wells up with all that we have conceived about that avatar, Maryada Purushottam. A righteous ruler, a dutiful ruler, and also how a husband should live, how a ruler should behave, how a brother should behave. In every part he did not compromise on dharma. Though personally he may be undergoing lot of inner conflicts, but for the sake of dharma he has never compromised. To talk about it, we need days and days together. Papa here is just making a mention about the Maryada Purushottam, the Ram avatar. Even when we go to Rameshwaram, when the guide says, or we remember this, it is not the Purana that comes up in our life, in our mind. It is the values or virtues, because he lived like a human being. He cried like a human being. He suffered like a human being. Just like all of us, he went through, portraying before us a real spiritual journey. More about this later. So, Papa just touches about it, the word Ram. Sri Ramachandra built. And another one is, throughout this, he was meditating on Ram. And meditating means what? Ram, his soul quest, soul thought, soul aim. So that means there is an inner effort God bestowed on him to sustain the God dimension. Because he is subjected to go through so many tests. And during that test, he should not leave this, what you call anchor, a support. So for that he was always prompted. Ramdas was always busy with the meditation of Ram, was feeling as though he was moving about in a dream. Ram, his soul quest, soul thought, soul aim. Just like we shared, we are traveling with Papa. We are traveling with God. We are traveling with Papa so that we get a taste of what all he went through as a spiritual aspirant, as a devotee. The transition from Vittal Rao to his Sadhaka Ramdas. And later on how it enabled him to become Swami Ramdas, Beloved Baba. We are at the moment. Why should we read? Then we suddenly feel, no, we are traveling with God. God is showing us. This is how the spiritual journey I gave to Vittal Rao. Similarly, you have to do certain things, then I will take you also. And what are those things? That is what is coming out from the narrative of Papa. So we should ever then remind ourselves that we are traveling with him. It is not reading of a narrative. It is not reading of Papa's In Quest of God. He is trying to God who is seated within us, in order that we really understand him, in order that we shed our sense of individuality. He is taking us through a journey from chapter to chapter, making us to go through intensely on every little incident which connects us with him. So then, here also he makes a mention about how God is providing. He has divested himself of everything except one pair of clothes and a few books. So God is ensuring some food is to be given through his chosen instruments. And here also, to ensure that the fervor, the spiritual fervor is kept in the same tempo, God gave him to, or made him to eschew certain things. So he was on fruit diet, food without salt and chilies. This is not to be copied. This will remind him, because he was rooted in this. Suppose we take up some vows, we are not rooted in it. First he got rooted in it, and to keep up that tempo, he was denying himself of certain things. To him, to his constitution. Probably that was necessary, God willed. By all means we can do if the same prompting comes from within. And then, after a day's stay here, they started by train for Madurai and reached the place in due time. Here, the temple of Madurai has been elaborately explained by him in 8 sentences. in 8 lines, sorry, 8 lines. We were just thinking, why? Those who have gone to Madurai, they will be able to easily recollect. I don't know whether suppose we change this thing, they will be able to see. Eh? To some extent.
To some extent. Structure of turban.
Eh?
Structure, Swamiji?
It's
Yes, they can see, Swamiji. Yes, it is seen. Shraddha, it is seen. Seen, it can be seen.
Where is it? One second.
First, initially, slowly go, they must, not the writing, I want the photos. No, first photo. Again go.
This one.
That is the first one?
Yes.
Okay, then.
Can't see.
You can see now.
Swamiji, little back.
Little behind
Yeah.
you.
Yes, now.
All of you can see now something
Will you please write? Ask them to chat and write.
in your chat. Can you see something?
It is seen, no?
It is visible. See it on your phone, no?
Listen on what.
Then next.
It is seen, Swamiji.
Next.
Yes.
Next.
Sit.
Next. Slowly.
They are writing.
See.
Yes, they are able to see.
See that. We will explain again. We will read it out. Just go through the pictures.
Little bigger.
Then next. Wait. Ayram Kal Mandapam. When he says massive, we will read out some portion.
1,000 billion.
Then. We have all gone to Madurai. We have not finished everything because it's difficult. That is a rough, okay, finished. Bah. Yes. Come on. Move. Ah.
Back, Swamiji. You should hold back.
No, you can.
Yeah. Papa says, as if it comes out, Stepping out. This is the Gopuram. Next one will be the what is inside the Gopuram. I mean, what is on the Gopuram. See that. Bah.
My satsang is going on. Can you call after 5 o'clock? Hello? Deepa, satsang is going on. Satsang is going on. I'll call you back. Okay, Hari Om. Bye.
The last. Papa says, Temple of Meenakshi is a beautiful pile wherein the sculptor has exhibited all his skill. The life-size symmetrical images, cut in stone, seem to be stepping out of the broad pillars that support the upper structure of the temple. The shrine is massive in build and can stand the wear and tear of ages. The sight of it is, in brief, a most imposing one. Madurai Meenakshi Temple. Imagine approaching a temple complex where you are greeted by a soaring gateway, more than 15 stories tall, covered in 1,500 brightly painted sculptures of divine and demonic figures. It is overwhelming, disorienting. But it is just a taste of what awaits the pilgrim or a sightseer at the Meenakshi temple in the town of Madurai in South India. With its numerous towers and its warren of associated sacred spaces, it embodies the active continuation of an ancient set of religious and artistic traditions in southern India. Today, approximately 20,000 people per day visit the Meenakshi temple, almost 700,000 square feet of space, including the two principal sanctuaries and dozens of shrines of varying sizes. Bordered by high walls and gateways, it's a bewildering collection of indoor and outdoor spaces. Small, cramped shrines, vast halls, low and high ceilings, darkness, light, hustle, bustle, quiet spaces, chaos, all told, it contains about 30,000 sculptures. And you know, in the Sanctum Sanctorum, it will be a small place. Each one can draw in their own way. There is a Shastra, Agama Shastra, but an ordinary layman like us, no, we can definitely say, oh, what we see outside is the manifestation of these varied varieties. And as we go inside and inside and inside, we finally reach the Sanctum Sanctorum, which is a small room, and the deity is there. The massive, when you say massive, massive reflection of the entire cosmos. And all the sculptor has brought out various, not only some portion of the Puranas. Here the Purana is also touched. There is a story behind this Meenakshi temple. Many sacred sites and structures in India have mythical origins, and the city of Madurai near in Tamil Nadu is no exception. According to the tradition, more than 3,500 years ago, God Indra installed a small tower over a naturally formed stone lingam as a sign of devotion to Shiva, one of the primary deities in the vast Hindu pantheon. Other gods followed Indra's lead, began to worship there. Soon a human devotee witnessed the miraculous scene of gods worshipping at the lingam, notified the local king, Kulashekara Pandya, who built the temple site. The story of the figure of Meenakshi is also legendary. Papa is story touching and kindling. It describes a Pandya king, Maryadwaja, who hoped for a son and heir. He carefully performed a fire ceremony, requesting that the gods fulfill this wish. Instead, he was granted a daughter, Meenakshi, who was born with 3 breasts. The gods told the king not to worry, but to raise Meenakshi as a brave warrior, just as he would a son, and when she grew up and met her true love, her 3rd breast would disappear. Meenakshi proved herself gifted in battle, conquering armies in all directions. When she sought to attack the north, however, she was confronted by God Shiva, who dwells on Mount Kailash, deep in the Himalayas. Upon seeing him, one of her breasts fell off, and the prophecy was realized. shyly and were amazed to see that suddenly she had only two breasts. Your heart was filled only with him. You looked at him sweetly with a nectar-like side glance, felt shy. Another principal god in the human pantheon, Vishnu, in the guise of Meenakshi's brother, presided over the wedding of Shiva and Meenakshi. So there the sculpture. In between, in Kanyagadan, the father gives the daughter to the bridegroom,
Here brother gives.
Eh?
Brother
gives. If father is not there, brother used to give, So brother gives Meenakshi's hand to Shiva's hand. That the script, the sculpture, what do you call it? Statue is there. So another principal god. Then, that is why this, some part of it. He gives that with the Tulsi, Kanyagada. Vishnu presiding over the marriage of Shiva and Meenakshi. The entire earliest temple at Madurai was likely constructed in the 7th century CE. But the temple complex we experience today is largely the work of the Nayak dynasty in the 16th and 17th century. They enlarged the complex, redesigned the surrounding streets in accordance with the sacred tradition of Vastu Shastra. Meenakshi temple is a prime example of Dravidian architecture, a style of Hindu architecture common in the southern states of India. Characteristics of Dravidian architecture often include covered porches on temples, tall entry gate towers on 2 or more sides, many pillared halls, a water tank or reservoir for ritual bathing. 2 principal sanctuaries sit at the center of the temple complex, one dedicated to Meenakshi, who is considered a manifestation of the goddess Parvati, another dedicated to Sundareshwara, our beautiful Lord, a gold finial, visible only from a high vantage point, caps each of these sanctuaries. Fronting each sanctuary is a mandap that pilgrims pass through. Each Friday evening, sculptured figures of Meenakshi and Sundareshwara are placed upon a swing in the temple, gently rocked in imitation of a romantic interlude, and each spring they are celebrated in a massive multi-day festival. At the south end of the complex, although there are actually only 985 pillars, the effect is impressive, with most of the stone pillar carved in high or low relief, depicting gods, demons, divine animals. Originally this space, that is why Papa here says, the shrine is the life-size symmetrical layers cut in stone seems to be stepping out of the broad pillars that support the upper structure of the temple. Originally this space was likely used for religious, dancing and musical performances as well as a place to gain audience with the king. Today the 1,000-pillar hall functions primarily as a museum with exhibitions of bronze sculptures, paintings, objects for the temple. So like that, they keep on explaining about it. And for us, today we will say that this is massive. God's manifestation is massive. We should not stop with that. When we go to a temple, though these are all enchanting for us, our temple visit becomes complete only when we go to the Garbhagriha. Just think about it. So many attractions are there outside. The skills are brought out. Perfection is brought out. Depiction is there on the various facets of love, aspects of living, life. In Gopura, you see, when you go through, each one is carved out, each space, each inch. You will not find any wall. The whole thing is carved out with the different emotions. So all these depict to us that this is the manifested world, outside the world. It's also nice to look at. So many lessons are there for us to learn. And to bring it out, somebody has to have one-pointedness, concentrated, focused attention, brilliance, so many things, otherwise it will not. Everything is okay, but we should never be satisfied with that. We all go to the temple, we enjoy this, but at the same time we go to the sanctum sanctorum. There the deity is placed in a small place. That is why it's called Garbhagriha, no? Just like when before our birth, we are all in the uterus, So he is there, Garbhagriha, sanctum sanctorum. We have his or her darshan and then come back. So there is when he introduces the Madhura temple, here he is also trying to make us understand that our spiritual sadhana should enable us to go to the source of all sources, to the core of our being, the innermost chamber of ours. Not merely, let us not be carried away by whatever that appears outside. It is there, we are not belittling the importance. An individual when he functions, no doubt about it, attractive, impressive, so many things we can say about that person. But at the same time we should go to the source of all sources, which Papa keeps on hammering. Go to the source of the soul. In what do you call this, glimpses of divine vision, the first page, if you go through, first page of divine, the first quotation they have brought out is this word. Try to enter into the mysterious origin of your and the world life. To know who you are in reality is the real quest. To arrive at this truth, you have to, by a systematized process of thought and discipline, transcend all human limitations set by the body, mind and intellect, and then, embarking on the realm of the spirit, realize your immortal, changeless, blissful nature. We'll again read, this is the sum and substance of Papa's philosophy. He is now taking us, God is taking us for this purpose only. Try to enter into the mysterious origin of your and the world life. The temple outer portion of the temple, we can call it as the world life, and the inner origin. To know who you are in reality is the real quest. That is why in the 13th chapter is named as Kshetra Kshetrajna. This is the Kshetra. Kshetrajna is inside. Elaborately Lord Krishna explains the field and the knower of the field. Kshetra is called the field, and Kshetrajna is called the knower of the field. So try to enter into the mysterious origin of your and the world life. To know who you are in reality is the real quest. We are in quest of God, That is the real quest. To arrive at this truth, you have to, by a systematized process of thought and discipline, not merely reading, not merely hearing, a systematized thought and discipline, transcend, go beyond all human limitation set by the body, mind, intellect. Embarking on the realm of the spirit, now realm on the individual. Now we have to upgrade, graduate ourselves to the realm of spirit. Then realize your immortal, changeless, blissful nature. This constitutes religion or spirituality. the other portion, small portion that we will cover tomorrow. So elaborate, about temple. When he mentions about 8 lines when he had set apart in this small chapter, we thought it is also making us to go deep into it. We see the wonderful way in which the whole world has been created. And he says the world we live in is a school in which observation and experience offer us immense possibilities for self-improvement. It is not just surface level appreciation or visible appreciation. No. Much more, deeper. Rest of the portion we will cover it tomorrow.